Hi everybody, welcome back to Divine Wine Bar. So it's Brian here again. Divine Wine Bar, we are located at 14845 Monarch Boulevard in Victorville, California. Our telephone number is 760-843-3888. So today I have a very special guest with me today. We have Dr. Phyllis Gerben, and we're going, I know it sounds weird to say Dr. Phyllis Gerben, doesn't it?
From you, yeah.
Yeah, I know. So, we're going to talk a little bit. Phyllis has a PhD in education, childhood
Education.
education,
Just education.
just education, not childhood development,
No,
not any
no,
of that
no.
other stuff. Just education. So you get to sit around and go, look, I'm a doctor,
Yes, Dr. Phil.
but Dr. Phil, just like the TV show. So today, Dr. Phil and I are going to be trying a Sangiovese. Sangiovese is predominantly the grape that is used in Chiantis, in the region of Chianti. The reason that it is not considered a Chianti is because it's not actually grown in the region of Chianti, Italy, even though it's the same grape. So kind
That
of
would
a fun.
explain why I like it.
Yeah, it would be. So this is a product of Italy. This is a product of the Tuscany region, but it is not grown in the actual area of Chianti. We do carry a Chianti here. We also do carry the Sangiovese here. But as you can see, we've got some beautiful colors to it. And we always go with the salute. Now, we've talked before. You've been to a couple of our little wine things here before, right?
Mhm. Yes.
All right. Do you remember the 5 S's of wine tasting?
No.
Okay. We're going to see, I know something more than a doctor. So our first S is always going to be smell the wine. Don't be afraid to get your nose in there either. Come on, we got honkers.
Smells good.
Okay, our second S is going to be swirl. Now, don't be afraid if you can't make it as big as things like this. This is why I got the big boy glass.
Yeah,
See, now
like
it
the
makes
little
sense
girl.
for camera, huh?
Yeah.
So what we are doing here is we're opening up the bouquet. And then when we think of a bouquet, what do we think of?
Smells.
Flowers.
Yes.
And what do we want to do with flowers?
Smell them more.
Well, that's why we have the third S right there.
Oh, so it smells, swirl, smell
Yep.
again?
Smell again. And you're going to see how much it's opened up. Now, I had a couple in here last night that were talking about, how wines age in those portions. Well, this is allowing why, older wines, these are kind of things why we decant, and it's doing the same thing, or keeping it open a little bit longer. It's doing the same thing as those parts there. Now, before I get to my fifth S, my fourth S, we're going to talk about the fifth S. Fifth S is always spit.
Where?
Well, that's why we're in a wine bar, but usually that's for one if you're going to like Temecula or Napa or any of those types of places, and you're going to multiple different wineries and trying multiple different wines before you buy a bottle. And you see this thing, if you remember that movie Sideways, where Paul Giovanni goes and grabs the bucket and starts drinking out of it and dumps it over his head. That's a spit bucket. That's where people are actually spitting and dumping those in there. But this is a really good wine, and please don't spit on my floor.
I don't want to.
So before then, we're going to talk about the fourth S, which is actually sample. And that's when we actually get to drink the wine. Now, other people have their own styles of drinking it. I always like to, wine is a sipping drink. Sometimes. But what I usually do is you want it to hit all parts of your mouth, underneath your tongue, your teeth, everything else underneath there. So this is the fun part. This is where we get to drink the wine.
Okay. You keep scaring me with saying sipping and sampling.
Ooh, there's a nice one. And as you can see, it's got a beautiful lighter color to it. Almost a burgundy color to it, but it doesn't have a big, rich body like a Cabernet Sauvignon or or even some Merlots or other parts that are out there. What do you taste in this wine? Wine. Do you taste any strawberries in it?
Maybe.
Maybe. See, the wonderful thing about wines is each one is going to have a unique flavor and taste to it. And there was a reason that I'm bringing up unique flavors and tastes and things like that. Now, you with your PhD.
But it's not in wine, okay?
It is not in wine. No, I'm the wine expert. You are the one who has an expert
right.
in education.
Yes.
So what I'm doing now is a different form of education, right?
Right.
Right. So I wanted to talk to you about those and kind of the parts, making sure that we're staying on, that we're at least learning something that is going on with it. I like to ramble a lot too because I can edit all of this. So when it comes to education and being an educator that's out there, how long have you been an educator?
17 years.
17 years. Right? And how long did it take you to get your doctorate?
4.5.
Wow. So so in your personal, I know with everything going on out there in the world, which, don't worry, I look at the camera too. With everything going on in the world with this pandemic that's been going on, I know with myself, I have kids and have been homeschooling them, which I can understand now why teachers drink.
Yes.
In fact, I can understand why a lot of teachers drink. In your professional opinion, do you feel that that homeschooling ideas have been a proper way during this pandemic? Let me put it into a question and I can edit it again. Do you feel that with homeschooling, that it has increased different educational systems that have been going on with it, or do you feel that it might have been a hindrance to them being in classroom study?
I think that going to distance learning was the only thing we could do during the pandemic. But I don't think it's the optimal way to instruct most children. Adults have a hard time with distance learning. They have trouble with time management and motivation and understanding the feedback they get from teachers. So it's going to be worse for kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Kids need to be in the classroom. But because of this pandemic, classrooms need to learn how to do distance learning too.
And I completely agree. I know with mine, and you know my kids
Yes.
very well. By the way, she's also my stepmom, so this is kind of a fun little one there to it. I know that I've had some problems with us. We've been trying to keep them on a regular schedule and trying to make sure that they're up at a certain time and those being sure that they're set in a routine, that they're all at the
That's
same
important.
place when they go and they study. But what we're finding is that they're having a lack of understanding of certain things, and I don't know if it's because we're their parents that are teaching them.
That's part of it. That's going to be a large part of it.
And it's also, I mean, trust me, you guys work 10 times harder than what we ever give people credit for. Because there's times where I look at them and I just go, where does the period go? Put the period there. This is where the period goes.
And all parents do that eventually, because your role is not to teach your kids the more advanced stuff. Homeschoolers will probably not appreciate what I have to say, but in most cases, your role as a parent is not to teach the finer points of grammar or punctuation or multiplication or division. You have other things to do. You teach kids values, you teach them how to live. It's the school's role to teach them all this other stuff. So your kids are going to resent it because you're trying to change roles on them. And it's just human nature to resent the change.
Well, and that's a big part that I think a lot of other parents have had difficulties with, especially ones that I know personally who have sat there and go, it's just so much harder, and we're doing the best that we can do in this pandemic, but maybe by something like this and letting it from an expert like yourself, that's going to inform not just the kids about things, but us as the parents who are going through this ourselves.
It's such a combination of strange events occurring at the same time. Nobody was prepared for this, so nobody trained for it. The teachers weren't trained, the administrators weren't trained, parents weren't trained, the kids weren't trained. One of the realities I was shocked by was that suddenly all my students forgot how to use all of the programs we had already used in the classroom for 3/4 of a year. All right? And that's attributed to the shock of everything changing.
And I know at least with my kids in this area, they shut down the school right after spring break.
Mine
So they were already on this mindset of spring break and still in their routine with spring break because
That's
they're on
right.
a break idea. And what I'm worried about now is especially after because for my kids, school just ended with them. But I'm noticing as a parent that they're having a problem retaining. Just like a glass of wine and everything else, we want to memorize those things there and start talking about flavors and retain these flavors that we're talking about. What? Full circle.
Good job.
You were like, how is this going to work with education?
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
So when we're talking about flavors and wines and areas and things like that, and that's my field of expertise, and the reason that I do these things, it doesn't just taste like wine. To me, I taste strawberries, currants, those kinds of things. But I got this way by tasting a lot of wine and practicing and doing things every
Right.
single day. With them going on to summer break, what would be, in your professional opinion, a way to make sure that they are retaining information that they had just learned with us during this pandemic to better prepare them to go back and to be reintegrated with the classroom?
First of all, the actual content is not what's important. It's not important for them to remember the dates of the Civil War as they go back into school. What's important is for them to be able to do the foundations, to be able to read and write and do math at their grade level or as close to their grade level as they can. So any program online that will get you that, like a Newsella program, which requires them to read and then answer comprehension questions. They're quick articles, they're quick questions, they're automatically graded. That gives them the practice they need to be ready for reading and writing when they go back. I'm not as familiar with the math programs because I'm not a math teacher, but there are programs out there, there are workbooks out there, and your students need to know their basic math facts. Adding, subtracting, multiplying, their times tables, any deficiencies in those areas will slow them down at any grade level.
So going through, during the summertime time, picking up some flashcards for the kids for math would be a great,
perfect.
And creating a game out of it, not making it so much as
Right.
you have to sit there and do this. And then finding, I know with me, I had a learning disability as a younger
Right.
person. And I found for me, even though they were below my levels, I was reading a lot of comic books. And it just didn't really matter about
It doesn't.
it, but it was still one of those of reading. It's the physical portion of holding a book in your hand and taking that 20 minutes out of your day. Go to take your kid, I take my kids to a park with a book. You're like, until we can go play with the ball, you gotta read for 20, any reading
And
under a
that's good
tree.
too. And if you are reading with them, that's even better because a lot of students get the impression that reading is not important because they never see their parents do it. So if you can set aside a couple minutes during the day where you're reading and they're reading, I used to tell my students during our free reading times, I don't care what you read. You can read the phone book as long as you are reading and you can tell me what you read after you're done.
And that's the big part. I've done this with my kids where I go, especially my fifth going into sixth grader. She's reading Tuck Everlasting right now.
She's right on track.
She's right on track. But it's one of those, okay, you read this page, what happened? I don't know. That doesn't work for me, right? And I think it's a way to really help them write it down. Because she's very much one of those people of, she has to have something else to take notes of. And I wasn't ever that one. I could read something and tell you exactly what happened. But it's understanding your children too, and understanding those parts. Just like understanding that different wines are going to be different things. And just like we have a saying here at Divine, we're going to be ending it really quickly here for you, but I want to thank you for your time. And I just want everybody to know that just like every kid is different, every bottle of wine is different. And there's no such thing as a bad kid. There's no such thing as a bad wine. There's just the right wine for you, and that's what we work with. Thank you very much.
You picked a really good one for me. I'm really enjoying this.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me, Brian.